Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 111, continuing with the Sri Sanatan Shiksha, which is, of course, the instructions of of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatan Goswami. We're in the chapter of the Sanatan Shiksha called the process of devotional service. Sadhana Bhakti, Abhideya Tattva, the process of devotional service. And we've just had a definition of Raga Bhakti versus Vaidhi Bhakti. Raga Bhakti being devotional service, devotional activity that is governed by the dictate of the heart, Raga. And Vaidhi Bhakti, which is beneath Raga Bhakti, is devotional service which is guided by the dictate of the scripture. Text 111. Mukha Bahuru Padebhya Purushash Yash Ramai Saha Chatvaro Jagyare Varna Guner Vipradaya Pritak. From the mouth of Brahma, the Brahminical order has come into existence. Similarly, from his arms, the Kshatriyas have come. From his waist, the Vaishyas have come. And from his legs, the Shudras have come. These four orders and their spiritual counterparts, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas, combine to make human society complete. Ye esham purusham shakshad atma prabhavham ishwaram nabhajant yad vajananti stanad brasta patyantada. If one simply maintains an official position in the four varnas and ashrams, but does not worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, he falls down from his puffed up position into a hellish condition. So simply following Varna Ashram is no guarantee of spiritual well-being, spiritual welfare, spiritual growth. Indeed, quite the opposite, because as this verse says, the Varnashram today, and particularly in Kali Yuga, following Varnashram, will tend to degrade, as everything moralistic, healthy, dharmic in Kali Yuga tends to degrade over time. So, even though a healthy social circumstance may be maintained by following Varnashram Dharma, over time it will degrade unless that Varnashram Dharma is combined with a higher aspiration of devotional service. It says, if one does not worship Supreme Lord Vishnu, he falls down. It's a he falls down. It's a statement. It's a singular, but it refers to a plural and a collective as well. The society will fall down. Smartyava satatam vishnur vishmartavya na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishidhasyur etayur eva kinkaraha. Krishna is the origin of Lord Vishnu. He should always be remembered and never forgotten at any time. All the rules and prohibitions mentioned in the Shastras should be the servants of these two principles. Some people have boiled down Krishna consciousness to these two principles. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. It's a good verse. Where is it from? I think the purport to chapter to verse 111 says, this verse and the next are quotations from Srimad Bhagavatam, but this is not the next, this is the one after the next. Oh, right here. This verse is a quotation from Padma Purana. There we go, right underneath in the purport. Vividanga sarana bhaktira bahuta vistara Shankshepe kahiye kichu sarunanga sara. I shall say something about the various practices of devotional service, which is expanded in so many ways. I wish to speak briefly of the essential practices. So Mahaprabhu now says to Sanatana Goswami that devotional service is very broad, very comprehensive. But I'm going to speak of the essential practices, the core practices. And here we go, listing the various limbs or items of devotional service, which should be 64 in number. Is that correct? 64 items of devotional service. Which of course are reproduced. Are all 64 given here? No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, so all 64 are not given here in Sanatana Shiksha, as I thought. But they are given in Sri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, wherein this Sanatana Shiksha and Rupa Shiksha is reproduced and expanded. Guru Parashraya Diksha Gurura Sevana Saddharma Shiksha Prisha Sadhu Marganugamana. On the path of regulative devotional service, one must observe the following items. 1. One must accept a bona fide spiritual master. 2. Accept initiation from him. 3. Serve him. 4. Receive instructions from the spiritual master and make inquiries in order to learn devotional service. 5. Follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and follow the directions given by the spiritual master. Krishna Pritye Boga Tyaga Krishna Tirtevasa Yavan Nirvaha Pratigraha Ekadashyupavasa. The next steps are as follows. 6. One should be prepared to give up everything for Krishna's satisfaction, and one should also accept everything for Krishna's satisfaction. 7. One must live in a place where Krishna is present, a city like Vrindavan or Mathura or a Krishna temple. 8. One should acquire a livelihood that is just sufficient to keep body and soul together. And 9. One must fast on Ekadasi day. Datriyasvata go vipra vaishnava pujana seva nama paradari dure visharjana. One should worship Datri trees, banyan trees, cows, brahmanas, and devotees of Lord Vishnu. One should avoid offences against devotional service and the holy name. Avaishnava Sangha Tyaga Bahu Sishyana Kariba Bahu Granta Kalabhyasa Vyakhyana Varjiva. The 12th item is to give up the company of non-devotees. 13. One should not accept an unlimited number of disciples. And 4. One should not partially study many scriptures just to be able to give references and expand explanations. So all sorts of things are done in the name of preaching these days, which we can see maybe are in violation of these principles. Accepting an unlimited number of disciples. Reading a wide variety of material in order to preach, right? In order to expand your knowledge base so you can connect with a wider audience. But unless there is a strong base of adhikar, then attempts, because this is in principle yukta vairagya, so attempts at such yukta vairagya may fail unless one is at a certain adhikar, unless one has a certain capacity to do it. So you may try and bend the rules, or accept a lot of disciples, or you may study a wide variety of literature in order to preach, in order to educate. But unless you're spiritually qualified to wield those resources, to manage those disciples, reading a wide variety of material for the sake of expanded, to give references and expand explanations, as here, Vyakhyana, Abhyas, Bahugranta, lots of literatures, Kala Abhyasa, studying bits of lots of literatures, and Vyakhyana, so that you can give good talks, essentially, explanations. In other words, you can give a nice talk because you've got a wide variety of knowledge. You've read a lot of stuff, so you can give a good talk. That can be used. Yukta Vairagya is to use whatever resources of the environment are available in service. Mahaprabhu also says, Yari deka tarikaha Krishna upadesh amara agyai guru hana tara edesh. Go preach, go make disciples, be a guru. So we see seeming contradictions here, where on one hand it says, do not accept an unlimited number of disciples. We read a lot of different scriptures so that you can give enlightening discourses. But at the same time, everything we do should be approached with the principle of yukta vairagya underpinning it. Which means that these prohibitions need not always apply in a fanatical sense. During the Vrindavan, one of the Vrindavan parikrams, Brajamandala parikrams of Saraswati Goswami in the early 1930s, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Param Gurudev asked him, he said to him in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that Rupa Goswami says not to open a huge number of different centers. It's not advisable to do that. Which is the same, in essence, it's the same prohibition as one should not accept an unlimited number of disciples. It's the same thing, not to expand one's operation, not to make it too big of an operation. So, Param Gurudev says to Sri Siddhanta Saraswati that Rupa Goswami has given this precaution, but it seems yourself are doing just the opposite. How can we reconcile this? And Saraswati Thakur simply says, well, it depends on one's capacity. He used the saying that a garment is tailored to fit the person. So, in other words, different clothes fit different people. So, it depends on the capacity of the person. One man can not manage himself, and another person can manage a kingdom while having time for their family and themselves and recreation. So there is a huge range of personal capacities in all areas of life, including in bhakti yoga. So again, depending on one's capacity to perform yukta vairagya, then these precautions can be similarly approached and managed, applied in one's life intelligently. Hani labhe sama sokatira vasa na haiba, anya deva anya shastra ninda na kariba. 15. The devotees should treat loss and gain equally. The devotee should not be overwhelmed by lamentation. The devotee should not worship demigods, nor should he disrespect them. Similarly, the devotee should not study or criticize other scriptures. We see often a trend these days amongst devotees to supplement their bhakti with bits from other spiritual traditions. Not recommended here. Studying other scriptures. What does studying other scriptures mean? It doesn't mean study them to reference them for preaching. That was covered in number 14. It means to study them for the purpose of gaining some spiritual insight from that study. That's not recommended. What does that show? If your Bhakti Yoga is a cultivation of a relationship with Guru, Gauranga, Krishna. If you're in a relationship with someone and you're going to someone else and, saying, oh, I'm going to supplement my relationship with a bit of a relationship with this person too. What's it going to do? What does it say? It says that your first relationship is deficient in some way. So, if you're going and you're studying, supplementing your bhakti with studying other scriptures, practicing other bits, from other traditions, you're essentially announcing that your bhakti practices are not satisfying you, are not enough. They're not wholesome. You need to go somewhere else for your dessert or whatever. So, not good. Rupa Goswami says to not do that. Vishnu Vaishnavananda Gramya Vartana Suniba Pranimatre Manovakye Udvega Nadiba. 1 minute. 18. The devotee should not hear Lord Vishnu or his devotees blasphemed. The devotee should avoid reading or hearing newspapers or mundane books that contain stories of love affairs between men and women or subjects palatable to the senses. 20. Neither by mind nor words should the devotee cause anxiety to any living entity, regardless of how insignificant he may be. Purport. The first 10 items are do's and the second 10 items are don'ts. Thus, the first 10 items give direct action and the second 10 items give indirect action. What were you going to say?
I've heard various references to people who look outside of their Bhakti Yoga and supplement with other scriptures or other spiritual teachers, gurus, cult, different organisations. I've heard a reference to them being a prostitute, a prostitute. Can you remember who referenced that and why that was the context of that and what that means?
Well, I've heard Guru Maharaj say it in regards. It's this in regards to an approach to Guru Tattva that someone was expressing, and so it's the same principle. It's one's approach, one's to spiritual life. This person was saying, "Oh, we feel like a bumblebee. We're like bumblebees going from flower to flower. We want associating with various spiritual teachers. We feel like bumblebees going from flower to flower." And Guru Maharaj saying, "Well, this is more like the behavior of a prostitute. There's no fidelity to any one man's going from person to person." Not to knock prostitutes too much. They have enough anxieties and difficulties on their plate. The point being is that it's not a happy place to that life of not having any fidelity. Because no fidelity represents what? Not enough nourishment coming from one place, not enough trust, not a strong enough connection with any one thing. needing to go to multiple different places to get your spiritual inspiration. So, my memory says, my understanding is that Guru Maharaj quoted that in that context of a person who likes to flit around from guru to guru, but not displaying any fidelity, any chastity to any particular guru. Maybe giving lip service that I am a disciple of this guru, but in practice not honoring that. So it's lip service only. There's no substance to it. Of course, we see in the life of our acharyas, they were very strictly chaste to their guru. And of course, anyone who's had any exposure to Bhakti Yoga philosophy, to the Vaishnava philosophy, understands that point number one is devotion and chastity to Guru. Without it, everything fails. Gurudev has said that on your altar, you can have many, many pictures. But he says, on your altar, you may only have a picture of your Guru, and your altar is sufficient. You can have a home altar with only a picture of your Gurudev on it, and that's sufficient. And he says, you can have lots of other pictures too, but if your Guru's not there, then your altar is deficient. It's not satisfactory. So, the prime and essential, what's the word? Mandatory? No. The essential factor in spiritual life is one's guru. Critical, can't be done without. And the altar, of course, is symbolic of the altar in your heart. You can have an altar outside, but if you don't have an altar in your heart, then the altar outside is just an object. So the altar in your heart must hold Gurudev. If there's no Gurudev there can be a lot of other things going on there, but if there's no Gurudev, then it's pointless. It's impotent. So that's the point being made, and of course, the first of these items of devotional stuff, I think 35 are listed here in Sanatana Shiksha, is one must accept a bona fide spiritual master. That's number one. And it's not number one arbitrarily. It's not just by coincidence that it was listed at number one. It's very purposefully put at number one. Because number one, as in the most important. Accept a bona fide spiritual master. And all the following, the first four principles, are all to do with one's spiritual master. Accept initiation, which means, one must accept a bona fide spiritual master. Accept initiation doesn't just mean go through the rituals, the formalities. It means accept him in your heart. Initiation, make that formal connection. And it's what that formal connection represents. So be serious about it, essentially. And then perform service, number 3. And receive shiksha, instructions, number 4. Same, tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnana jnaninas tattvadarshina. He will show you the truth. So it's considered a very serious matter, one's relationship with the Guru. Not something to be violated. And not something to be cheapened by flitting around to different places to get your spiritual fix, to get your inspiration. I mean, to me, it essentially says that you're not getting enough inspiration from your Guru. Is it your Guru's fault or is it your fault? So you're going elsewhere looking for it. Of course, you're going to say, well, some people do say, it's my guru's fault. And then, of course, you're in a very dubious situation where you probably lack faith. And that's the very, very foundation of any kind of spiritual development, right? Shraddha, then Sadhusanga, Bhajana, Kriya. So you've probably got a faith problem, and that's going to have to be addressed over time. If you cannot have faith in your guru. It's a serious matter. We have the pastime of Shamananda Prabhu, when the Shamananda, Srinivasacharya, and Narottam, they're all Shishyas, disciples or taking tutelage under Jiva Goswami. And Shamananda Prabhu was a disciple of Hridai Chaitanya. He had taken initiation from Hridai Chaitanya in Bengal, and he travelled to Vrindavan to study under Jiva Goswami. And during that time, there was an episode where he received some mystical initiation. And when news of this, and that was represented in his painting on a different type of tilak to represent this new initiation. And when that was, when the news of that reached Hridaya Chaitanya, was taken very seriously, and they convened a meeting to discuss what to do about this, how to deal with it. They wouldn't convene meetings amongst the top devotees just for figuring out who's gonna take the rubbish out or whatever. In other words, it's a serious matter where a council had to be convened. And of course it was resolved because it was realized that this new initiation was arranged and orchestrated by Srimati Radharani herself. So that's a very, very esoteric pastime involving Shamananda Prabhu, Jiva Goswami, Srimati Radharani. Text 121. So, it's 8:10, so we'll finish there. So 10 recommendations, or 10 do's and 10 don'ts. 10 prescriptions and 10 proscriptions. Prescription, proscription. Then we go on to okay. All right. So we'll continue tomorrow with these items of devotional service. Reading from Revealed Truth by Srila Bhaktisundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, from the section entitled Pure Devotion, in the chapter titled The Transcendental Vibration Form of the Lord. And the subchapter titled Focus on the Holy Name. Our only necessity is to connect with the wave of devotion descending from the transcendental world through the Lord's holy name and offer ourselves for its purpose. By chanting the Lord's holy name, His transcendental form will be revealed in our hearts. The Lord's name will firmly connect us with the Lord's Satchidananda Vigraha, His eternal, fully conscious, ecstatic form, which is seen and served by great souls like Brahma, Narad, and Vedavyas. Srila Rupa Goswami has prayed, Nikala Shruti Moli Ratnamala Jyuti Nirajita Para Pankajanta Ai Mukta Kuler Upasyamanam Paritastvam harinama samshrayami. O divine form of the holy name, your lotus feet are worshipped by the Vedas, Vedanta, Upanishads, Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and all the other scriptures. All these scriptures, along with all the liberated souls, offer arti to your lotus feet. Please be merciful and give me your divine service. I fully surrender at your lotus feet. We'll read that again. Nikila Shruti Moli Ratnamala Jyuti Nirajita Para Pankajanta Jyuti Nirajita Para Pankajanta Ai Mukta Kuler Upasyamanam Paritastvam Harinama Samshrayami. It's from Sri Namastakam, the first verse. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu glorified the holy name in this way, and there are so many more verses in the scriptures about the Lord's name. Nothing anywhere compares with the position and power of the holy name. By chanting the Lord's name, our mood of devotion will increase, the illusory environment will leave us, and our feelings of transcendental ecstasy, charm, beauty, and love in our relationship with the Lord will become manifest in our heart. Will increase in our heart. With those feelings, we will be unable to leave the association of the Lord's holy name and service. This is known as actual taste. So taste will develop. Very high level, actually. Taste for the holy name. Real taste. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Sri Kaviraj Goswami Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hari Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Bala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. Bala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha. Pasanatan Bhatta Raghunatha. Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunatha. Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunatha. Jai Goshai Kari Charana Bandhana. Jai Goshai Kari Charana Bandhana. Jaha hoite Vignana Sabista Purana. Hoite Vignana Sabista Purana. Jai Goshai Amra Muni Tamradasa. Jai Goshai Amra Muni Tamradasa. Tansabara Pararenu Mora Panchagrasa. Tansabara Pararenu Mora Panchagrasa. Tandara Charana Sevi Bhakta Sane Vasa. Tandara Charana Sevi Bhakta Sane Vasa. Janame Janame Mora Abhilasa. Janame Janame Mora Abhilasa. Jai Goshai Jabe Praje Koilo Vasa. Jai Goshai Jabe Praje Koilo Vasa. Radha Krishna Nitya Kodila Prakasha. Radha Krishna Nitya Kodila Prakasha. Anande Bolo Hari Vajra Vrindavana. Anande Bolo Hari Vajra Vrindavana. Shri Guru Vaishnav Hare Majaya Mana. Shri Guru Vaishnav Hare Majaya Mana. Shri Guru Vaishnav Hare Padma Gauriyasha. Shri Guru Vaishnav Hare Padma Gauriyasha. Hari Nam Sankirtan Kore Narvatam Dasa. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Jaya Gaura Hari 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 Jaya Gaura Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Gaura Hari Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Sabharikare Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhara Ji Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Charja Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Guru Dev Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varg Ki Jai Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Samaveda Vaishnav Mandala Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Harinam Sankirtan Govinda